do a quick mute out here. All right, y'all, let's kick this thing off. I'm gonna mute everybody out. Good, good, good. All right, hey, y'all, so I'm super excited to get started. If we haven't met, my name is Dustin. I'm going to ask, there's a few people on here, I'm gonna ask for some tips at the end. So, and I'm super excited about this conversation because I get this asked sometimes to me when I'm at events or out somewhere big. And they're like, hey, what's like that one mistake that you made? What's that one thing that you, Liz, I'm going to make you a co-host if you don't mind. Actually, Carol, if you can, I'm going to make you co-host. Can you do that for me? You just right there, make co-host. Thank you. You can help me mute, unmute, welcome people in. Thank you. And so people ask me like, what's that one mistake you made that you could tell me from when you started, or that, would give me wisdom today? And one of the things that we sometimes think about is, when you do anything long enough, you realize that mistake you made was one of the things that helped you become where you are today. So you not necessarily want to go back and change it, but it is an awareness and a perspective that I would love to share with you all, because if I'm just a chapter or two ahead in my book, if that makes any sense. I've been doing this just a little bit longer. I maybe have I maybe have had a little bit more success in a sense of the business side of this than some of you have, based off of whatever parameters you want to look at. That, right? That's a very, very unique perspective. Liz, we were talking to her the other day, and she wanted to help people, and guess what? She crushed that goal. She's been helping people. She just hasn't set the next step in that. So that's a lesson I'm going to teach you guys. That's one of my biggest mistakes. But what I want to do is I want to just kind of give you guys some of my wisdom that I've gained over the last 7 years, but more importantly, things that if I could go back in time and I would tell myself when I started to maybe allow yourself to be better at this. I think it'll serve you longer in this world. And I'm going to start with number one is I was told a long time ago to work on what we call the inner game. I have no problem working hard. I love working hard. The truth is most people that show up on these Zooms are hard workers. Would you all agree that everybody on here likes to put the time in, the effort in? How many of you all right now, would you say that, if you were to tell your kids something, you're just hey, make sure you work hard. Does everybody talk? Anybody that doesn't talk like that? You're like, got to work hard. You got to go after it. You got to put some time. You got to go work hard. Is anybody relating to me? So I realized when I got started, I was kind of, let's say, praised for working hard, to the point where I would go on, we went to Maui, and I literally would go and work so hard. I was on a jet ski doing a call. I was having a hard time being in the moment of joy. And I love to put my time and energy in. It's almost like a badge of honor for me to go work hard. And when I say this is that what I realized over the last 7 years is that I sacrificed sometimes working hard for the joy of what I was doing. And so I got a quote the other day that really touched me, and I can't remember the guy's name. If you hit me a message, I'll send it to you. But it was really cool. He's a very spiritual gentleman. And he said, one of the biggest mistakes that we're making is that we tell our kids to work hard, but we don't tell them to work with joy. Because if you work with joy, you pretty much are going to work hard because you're enjoying what you're doing. And it was a really unique power or a paradigm shift for myself. So I get on this call a lot, and I work with a lot of individuals. I see Carrie on here who has life, and she's set herself up to have this really cool life. At the same time, she's in a different place in her life than I was 7 years ago. And I have a lady, her name, Dana's not on here, but Carol, you know Dana. And Dana literally has got her hands in every cookie jar. She's all over the place. She's going 100 miles per hour, and she's fully committed to prove it. And she works hard. And what I saw in Dana as she was running to rank 6 is she had joy. But then after a certain point, the joy was being traded off for just to put the work in. And I was like, Dana, we're missing something here. We're missing something here. So what my tip I want to give you all is that find the joy in this, and you'll work hard. If you just work hard at it, you will stop working hard. You're going to go find something else to work hard on. If you're a hard worker, just know that you'll put the hard work into something else. If you're losing the joy, at some point, it'll run its course. So my biggest lesson for me was to understand that my ability and willingness to go work at something I'm great at, to the point where people were praising me. And guess what that did? Made me want to work harder. I was getting praised for working hard, but then I was losing the moment of why, like the joy of why I was doing this. That's why I always tell people, find your why. If I look at Matt and Debbie Hammond and they look at that big old boat out in the water and they have this big old nice yacht and they're sitting there and the joy is in the yacht and then the journey to get it and the journey to take the next trip. So therefore they can find more joy in building Prove It or helping more people because there's a joy in the yacht. Now they love to help people too. And some of us get that reward. Seeing somebody drop 100 pounds, seeing Bonnie win the Core 4 Challenge was very joyful for me, right? And I don't want to lose that joy. So something I would write down is find your joy in this. What does that look like? And I promise you, and it's weird, but if you can find more of that joy, the business that we have is simple. And that would be my number 2. Is my number 2 tip that my biggest mistake is I thought there was a secret. I thought there was a secret. Anybody think like, well, so-and-so is doing this, there must be a secret. Kate, for whatever reason, Kate hits me up. She's like, I don't know what's going on right now. Is maybe that's everybody in the world, but like my social media is going stupid crazy. She's gained like 45,000 followers in a week. And I'm like, Kate, it's simple. What you've been doing over the last 6 months is just working. And she's not changing things. She's pivoting things, making adjustments over time. So I wake up at this and I like to tell myself, and I love this. I see Carrie and I see Bonnie on here. And Carrie is a hard worker. Bonnie is too, but Bonnie's in a different phase of her life. Carrie's a hard worker. She's determined and she says she's going to be successful. Sometimes she's like, I'm going to go do it. I go find your joy. And I'm talking to her specifically, find your joy in this. And just remember, if your mom can't do what you're doing, you're probably complicating it. Okay. Now there's nuances to this business. I'm going to give you an example. 90% of you here are in this business because Michael and I talked to one dude. We both talked to a dude. True story. Almost the entire community-based marketing has launched off of us just talking to a few people. There's a couple other teams outside of Michael and ours that have had different successes in different ways, and I'm not going to speak for them, but the majority of the community is built off of us just talking to a few friends. Guess what? My mom could do that. My mom has a team of 5,000 people. She doesn't even know how to turn her Facebook on. I have to log it in for her every single time. I'm just being transparent here. She doesn't know what a ketone is. True story. I'm on a call with Australia. And they're complicating the living daylights out of this whole thing. I mean, talk about complication. And they're like, Dustin, but what we need to know more. They're all buff with their shirts off. Anybody been on my Australia Zooms? Probably Matt and Debbie have. They're like running on a treadmill. I'm like, can you just put a shirt on? Like they're just beautiful buff people everywhere. And this was crazy. Like, I go, my mom was at my house. And the true story, my mom there's probably 3 people in Australia that have a bigger team than my mom, maybe 4. Love you all over there. And I'm like, Mom, I go, Mom, come over here. They're asking me what ketones are. She goes, I go, can you tell them what they are? She goes, I have no idea. She goes, I drink them every day. They make me feel really good. And if you have any more questions, just talk to my son. I'm going to say that again. I have no idea. I drink them every day. They make me feel really good. She'll sometimes add in there, you're crazy if you're not drinking them. She might add that in there. If you have any more questions, just talk to my son. I taught my mom how to do a group text message. Y'all, that took me like 2 months to teach her, by the way. It wasn't easy. And then if somebody has an Android, we're screwed. I'm like, it's tough. I go, Mom, just send me their number and I'll text them. True story. So I go, okay, great. I go, in Australia, can you all do this? Can you just say, I like it for this reason. This is how I feel. This is maybe why I'm doing it. If you have any more questions, I'd love to get you some information. I'll connect you to a video. I'll connect you to somebody that knows more. Can you do that? And they're all like, yes. And then as soon as she gets off the call, they're like, well, what do ketones do for the brain? I'm like, dang it. Now, I'm not against education, but our job isn't to educate people on ketones. Ironically, it's kind of my job. I have a little bit of that role, and maybe that confuses some of you all, but my biggest mistake was I wanted to be, this is one of my biggest mistakes. I was complicating it. I wanted to be the educator. At the same time, there's gentlemen on Michael's team that didn't know their left foot from their right, had no idea what a ketone was. They had 6,000 people on their team. I had 600 at the same time. True story. They were 10 times bigger team than I had. And I'm the one that knew all the stuff about ketones. They knew nothing. But guess what they did? They invited them to watch my calls. So they were the ones that invited everybody to the call. I was the one closing the call. They got all the sales and I did all the work. Is anybody relating to me here? I'm doing all the work, but I'm not getting all the sales. Okay. So my mom, Australia is there again. Hey, Dustin, how do we build this business? Can you tell me about why do we choose community-based marketing versus network marketing? Like, what's the difference between Prove It and all these other companies out there? This is the question I'm getting, right? And I go, hold on a second, Mom, come over here. I go, Mom, really quick, what does MLM stand for? And she goes, I have no idea, but ask my son. She goes, oh, I did retire after 2 years of starting Prove It. That's what she said. And then she walked away. And I'm like, y'all, there's a lesson in there. It's ACE, attract, connect. Attract, connect. And then remember this, connection is a continuous process. So my lesson number one is keep the joy in this. Find your joy, whatever that looks like, and be true to yourself. If your joy is to travel and you're not setting that as a goal, like, listen, I love to travel. So part of my joy was traveling to Clewiston, Florida to see Cameron Moss sitting in a coffee shop. That was fun for me. That was joyful for me. I loved it. I got to educate. I got to help her, a young lady, start her whole new business. Now she's a global leader in the company. That was fun, right? Carol, I love coming up to Michigan. That's fun for me. I get joy in that. Does that make sense? If you like to travel, I know Carrie and Tyler like to travel a little bit. How cool would it be to have a team in Tennessee and you spend a week there and you drive the RV and you go spend a week there and you get to, it's not work. It's joy of doing what you love to do. It's a little side gig, right? To make the money. You just got to make the money to pay for the trip. And then maybe a little bit more. And then you bring me along. Okay. So number 2 is we got to get back to the simplicity of what this is. If your mom can't do it, you're probably complicating it. Now I'm going to make a little explanation mark on here. Cameron might yell at me if I don't. Is as you advance in the business simplicity stays the same. Your skill set of fine tuning your business will require more effort. My mom is limited by her growth of the business because she's limited by what she's learning in the business. Example, I'm learning about social media. Y'all, I am behind the 90% of you on social media skill sets. Hashtags, I'm still slightly confused. I don't follow them. I don't click on them. I use them, but I actually do nothing with hashtags. I still don't understand. I understand what they are. And if you're like me on there right now, that's okay. Don't try to overthink this. The business is simple. But if I want to get better at social media, I actually have to now start to build the skill set and learning the nuances and the ins and outs of it. Okay. So that's mastering or becoming better at a skill set, which requires more time and energy. But to build our business, it is talking to people, creating curiosity and connection. You can legitimately have a full-time income and Prove It and never post on social media and not talk to people on a regular basis. True story. If you can master when you do attract and connect, if you can master those 2 things, you can have very good success in here. And the truth is, I know a lot of people that are very good at that. I have a gentleman that only person on here has ever met is Cameron Moss, maybe Lynn. And that guy has a full-time income, and all he does is says, Dustin, I have somebody that's interested. I want to connect him to you and see if it's a good fit for us. That's it. He doesn't do anything else. And guess what? He's been doing that for 7 years. He doesn't go on Zooms. And I'm not telling you not to plug in. He won't have life-changing income, but he has a full-time income because he constantly does that. So I want to be clear. He gets how simple this is. Does that make sense? And about once a month, he connects me with somebody. Every once in a while, it's 2 or 3 times a month. So Got it? Everybody tracking me here? So number one's joy. Number two is it's simple. Anytime that you're looking at somebody else, go, what are they doing that's different? I promise you they're not. They maybe been working on something a little longer, if that makes sense. They've learned a skill set, right? I asked Cameron Moss how long I told her she should just do her hair in front of the camera for social media instead of talking about anything else. For 5 years, I told her that. She finally committed to it. Next thing you know, her social media is blowing up. Now she's becoming a social media wizard, right? It's simpler than we make it. If you're really good at putting lipstick on, you can legitimately put lipstick on every single day. Bonnie, I challenge you to this. Every day in front of a camera and take a picture of yourself, and you could build a social media following, an attraction tool. I'm true story. Kate Higdon doesn't even like cooking, and she's like a global chef online. She doesn't like cooking. She's now starting to enjoy it, right? Does that make sense? She just committed to one thing, kept it simple, not complicated, simple, and now she's learned some of the skill sets to advance it further. Okay. Number three, you ready for number three, y'all? Okay, last one. This is something that's true to me, and I was going to get emotional. I'm not going to do that. Our events, Pruvit is not a ketone company. I'm going to say it again. That's not the right way to phrase it. Pruvit is not only a ketone company. And if anybody has been to an event, who's not been to an event of ours, like a live event, full out, blown out event? Bonnie, we got it's Yvette, yep, Yvette, Nikki. Okay. If you're watching this right now, hey Erica, how are you? Anybody that goes to our event, they will tell you it's life changing across the board. I've never had anybody that doesn't say that. It's life changing. And our big events, the events that we got coming up, and something that my mistake I've made is I've taken it too casually on getting people to these events. I think sometimes I've taken them for granted. They're just another event coming around. I've been to them all. I've heard a lot. I love the events. I like the energy. I always learn something, and that whatever I learn, I apply, and I feel like my life is better. And if I look back in the last 7 years of how different my life is and so many people's life, I was talking to Cameron about this, it's extraordinary that we really are in the event business, not the ketone business. And if you want to have success here, true success, come to every event and always bring people with you. But what I found is the obstacle is that most people have a hard time selling the event because either they don't know how to, or they don't understand what it is or what that person could value, or they're who does this? The person that you're talking to can't afford the event. So you don't like, oh my God, they don't have a lot of money. We determine for them if they should or shouldn't go. You know what? It's a lot of rah-rah. I don't think they're going to be into that. Anybody else? I know I do it. So here's my commitment to me moving forward. And I have some of these times I have these weird thoughts about my head. Is my goal moving forward is to do the same thing we do for our ketone business. It's attract, it's connect. So if you have anybody that's interested in hacking better, I'm very good at promoting events. If you're on Cameron's team, she's probably she's super class. Like, I mean, amazing. Now she has, I mean, she has amazing stories of why she's went to event through life obstacles. But what I would tell you is that go to the events. If the one thing I tell people, if you want your life to change, if the one thing if you want your life to be like globally amazing and epic and just truly enjoy the world, the abundance of the world, go to every one of our events. Drink your ketones and come to events. If you never sign anybody up and if you do those two things, you won't even recognize your life in 7 years. I can't tell you how different. It's unfathomable how different our lives are. And I'm sitting there thinking like, I have a friend of mine down the road and now I've invited her to here, but I don't think I've really connected her to it. Like I haven't really invited her. Does that make sense? I have a promoter in town here and I'm like, she doesn't really know what this event is. And it's not about what she's going to learn at the event. It's what she's going to feel. Because I don't think I'm the right person to sell that. If that makes sense. I'm pretty energetic and pretty and I'm like, I need to connect her to Michael and let Michael send her that, bring her to that event, because she needs that event. She's a single mom. She's struggling. She works way too much. She's frustrated most of the time. It's just like this constant, she doesn't sleep well. She's in survival mode and she wants better. She said that to me. And I'm like, am I doing the greatest job as I can to get her there? So she's getting on a call with Michael Rutherford and he's going to invite her to the event. Heck, I might send her a video for Brian saying, hey, Dustin wants you to come to this event. You should come. So I wanted to say this because I think it's something that we as a team were the best at by far. We carry the events. Like half the event would be from our team. True story, because we were so good at sharing this. And I think that I've gotten relaxed on it. There's something I'm going to take a big focus towards. So if you're not going to the event and you want to change your life, come to the event. Text me and say, hey, how do I get there? We can always solve for why. I promise you, we can always solve for why. But if you want to come to this event, if you want to change your life, come to this event. And if you have somebody that, because usually if you're not going, your team doesn't go, right? That's kind of the common thread. If you don't go, nobody on your team's going, right? But at the end of the day, if you don't go, you're less likely to have a team. So if you don't have a team, you go to build the team, right? Because like you want to bring people back next time. You want to be people back next time. And so it doesn't even matter what they're saying at the event. I mean, does everybody know who's speaking at the event, by the way? We're going to have that Lisa girl she's a firecracker. I was like, dang, Ed Milet, Lisa, I don't know how I say her name, but I've been listening to her. Like she's snappy, but her words are pretty, she's powerful. She has a voice in herself, but she had to find that voice. It took her 8 years to find that voice. I want everybody to be aware of that, 8 or 10 years to find that voice. And some of us are just looking for ours now. So be patient in that process. But anyway, that's my 3 lessons. Number 1 is find my joy, stay in my joy. If you stay in your joy, this is where I was talking with Brian and he's like, I don't want people to be in la la land. He's like, you got to stay motivated or excited. But if you're in your joy, I believe you're going to work hard. If you're in your joy, the appearance of working hard. People sometimes go to me, Dustin, you work really hard. I go, I didn't work at all. I was just having fun. And then there's times where I know I'm working hard because I feel like I have to. And that's where I'm losing my joy, if that makes any sense. So find your joy. If it's social media, if it's Keto Life parties, if it's coming to events, find your joy and then apply your work ethic into your joy. Number 1. Number 2, is it's simpler than you making it. I promise you, it's simpler than I make it. It's about attracting people. When you're in your joy, you can attract more people. If you like to put makeup on, do it in front of people. It's weird. I know. Curtis, where you at? Curtis, you dropped off. Curtis, Matt Hammond, put some makeup on. Brad Knowles, put some makeup on. Let's go. Think about it, dude. Jason, if you started putting lipstick on, you get some followers. I'm not sure if it's your audience, but you get some followers. And then the last one is we're in the event business. Bring people to these events. And I want to see everybody's face there. I want to see, I want to sit down and have a real conversation and get to know more people. But this event it's the kickoff. We're going to have a lot more events and we're going to get back into our event rhythm. And it's the secret to our success. And like I said, it's a vacation for you. If you can give yourself the luxury of the vacation, meaning the vacation from the complications of life and where it gives you simple focus to become the best version of yourself. So with that said and done, I'm going to shut up. I did want to talk about my little lesson I learned about hashtags, but if anybody else has anything they want to share in there, please feel free to do so. And also if you're having a baby or something or having a wedding and you can't make it to an event, I understand. The only reason I haven't went to an event is because I had a baby. Otherwise, I don't miss them. I've had 2 babies on event days, which is fun. So both my girls were born on event day. And so if they pick an event around November 2nd this year, I might have 3 babies on there. But right now, we don't have any events scheduled for that time. But anybody have any questions for me? I do want to touch on one last thing and then we'll be done. Cool. Disconnect to anybody. What's one thing that connected to you all? Was it the joy? Hard work to joy? That was a big one for me. Big one. It's like, I now don't tell my kids to go work. I used to, every time they go to school, I'm like, hey, make sure you go work hard. I was programming to them. My kids work, they put effort into them when they love it. I'm like, go have fun, go learn a lot, have joy in what you're doing. Give it your all. I'll put things like that in there, but I'm trying to change that. I catch myself constantly reprogramming in a way that I don't think is what they need. Okay. Number two, awesome. Let's keep it simple. We have these calls coming on, so stay tuned to the pulse. I'll get it out, Liz. If you don't hear from me right away, let me know. But we have the KLPs. We're going to continue those. The schedule will be folded out here shortly. And then number three is events. Billy YS, Billy YS, listen to the podcast audiobook. Okay, cool. Yeah, she's cool. Nikki, we'll see you there. Hashtags. One thing I learned from hashtags, I just put this video out. Last week we talked about your target market, like who are your audience? Who do you want to talk to? I've actually had to sit down and refine tune mine a little bit, which has been really a good lesson, just to put pen to paper and write it all out. But one of the things that I learned from Gary, it's Gary V's $1.80 rule. So you can look that up. It's a $1.80 rule. I don't know why they came up with that, but it's basically 10 cents for a comment that you pay yourself. So it's not like you get paid to do this. So you go find your 10 hashtags of your niche. Who do you want to focus on? Now I'm primarily talking about Instagram. You probably could do the same thing to TikTok. I don't know why it would be any different. Facebook is switching to hashtags. So Facebook, you're going to see more in there. So you probably can do this for Facebook. I just don't know how it works. But let's just use Instagram for an example. So you go find your 10 hashtags. For me, one of the hashtags, it's kind of funny. Hardworking dads is one of my hashtags. Because it's the person that is putting that effort in that I want to help be their coach to help advance their life, right? I know they're putting effort into it. So it could be moms that wear lipstick. I don't know. It could be entrepreneur moms. It could be grandmas that travel the world. Silver travelers. Whatever your hashtags are. So find out what you're like. Write down first off who's your audience. Who's your target audience? What are their obstacles? What are their problems? What do they like? Right? What are the things that you can talk about if you're not talking about ketones? What else can you talk about? Teachers, right? Nurses, whatever that audience, your demographic is. If you don't know that, that's where you start. So let's say you go to the hashtag hardworking dads. So what I do is I pull up that hashtag and then I'm on Instagram. I search it. I click on my hashtag, and then the top, it gives you the top and recent. So the top post, you go to the top 10 posts and you comment on it each day for 30 days or for however long you're keeping that hashtag, and you comment on it each day. Now, if you've already commented on the same one, just go to recent ones and comment on it. What you're doing is you're putting your comment into your hashtag that you're basically giving to your audience. Does that make sense? You're giving to your audience to receive. So instead of you just hashtagging, I use that hashtag, by the way. So you're going to use the hashtag on your own post, but you're going to go on that hashtag and give. And you're going to get every day, you're going to give 10. So it's actually 100 comments you're making each day. I know that seems like a lot. If that's too much, do 5, right? Do what you can do. But every day, you do your 10 hashtags. So if you're on 7 platforms, it's 700 comments a day. So be wary if you want to be on 7 platforms. I'd rather you be great at one or really good at one and start to learn the others than to be really bad at all of them, just so you know. Okay. But that's how simple it is. So, and just comment something that's relevant to the post and do that each day. And so start somewhere. If you just want to pick one hashtag and you just focus on that, 10 comments a day, and then go to 2, work up to 10. Or if you want to go all in on 10, I would tell you, pick a number of how many hashtags you want to follow and how many comments you're going to do on that hashtag. But I'm doing 10 hashtags, so 10 separate hashtags, and I'm doing 10 comments on each hashtag. It's 100 just on Instagram. That's what I'm doing. I do this full time, by the way, and I have time to do that, just so you all know. But I'm only would pick something that you can do every day for 30 days. And the truth is you don't want to stop it. The 30 days is just to get really good at it. Does that make sense? So that's just a hashtag tool. What you're doing is you're now targeting your audience, you're giving to them, and then you're also going to use that same hashtag on your post so that you can give to them through your content. Does that make any sense? Everybody tracking me here on this? Cool. You can do it on right now. Instagram and TikTok are very simple to do that on. Facebook is something you might have to work through. You could do it on Facebook through groups. Pick your group, comment on 10 comments on the group each day, maybe only 5 because if there's not that many posts, but that's another concept, right? You go to your group, the groups that not you're in, the groups that your audience are in, and you go comment on 10 people. or on 10 different comments, or you respond to somebody else's comment. Hey, Nikki, that's a great comment. I appreciate your feedback on that. Right? Breast milk is good for the baby. Whatever. So, any questions for me? I appreciate y'all. Could somebody unmute and just say hi? It's quiet. It's crazy.
Hey, Dustin.
Yeah.
Harry, I actually just learned this, that when I start doing my hashtags, because I am horrible and always forget them, that I
in the past, hashtags were not your jam, but you're now made a pivot and you're wonderful at them.
Yeah, thank you. But now I have put them in my notes, and now I just copy and paste them, so I'm not constantly having to write out 10 posts. Right. And also, I got a pro tip from Miss Kate, that you can do it in your short text if you know how to do that, which I'm learning how to do that, to where she just punches in a couple of letters and it pops up for her right away. So it's getting easier and easier all the time.
So that's the part, like I was saying, my mom just introduces me to people when the conversation comes up. She attracts, connects, and that's it, right? If you want to go advanced, if you're on these Zooms, you're looking at more advanced. Your mom, Bonnie, probably won't do a hashtag. Bonnie may never hashtag ever in your life. And that's okay. You don't need to either. It's just an advancement of what we're doing. I do want to just kind of clarify on that for really quick. If you're a person that copies and pastes hashtags, I think this is my opinion, Cameron or Lynn or somebody, or Matt and Debbie or Lisa, people that have this advanced skill set in this, I would only do it for your foundational hashtags. And then every 30 days, you might refresh them a little bit. What I mean by that is your foundational hashtags are the ones of your target market. If for me on the Keto Pro, I'm very focused on keto tips, keto recipes, keto diet, ketogenic. See how they're very specific of a niche of who I'm looking for that I want to attract. Now that's the Keto Pro. It's not my business page. It's my keto page, right? Now, the other 10, 20 hashtags you put on that should be relevant to the content you're putting on. Does that make sense? So if you're a mom, let's say I'm going to use Cameron and she's doing something around her face. She's putting makeup on or doing some permanent eyebrows. So she might put, women, hairstylists, hair salons, like she might have her demographic of 10 people, but then she might put permanent makeup as a hashtag, something that's specific to that topic where it's not necessarily, she might put hashtag poofy lips. I don't know, Botox, whatever those things are, poofy lips with Botox. But does everyone make sense? So what I don't want to see is everybody just copy and pasting the same hashtag. That will run its course. But the foundational 10, let's call it, or 5 of your niche, you can use as a continuation, and then add the components of what makes sense to that post, because social media is pretty smart these days, and they're catching on, let's just say. And you put those two together, it's game changer. No Botox, Cameron. Botox in the lips. I'm not against it. I think it's just
got off the Zoom with Michael where he was talking about Botox and filler, and I'm like, I feel really attacked right now, because then on this Zoom you're like,
oh, you did? Botox. It's funny about Botox is it's actually a neurotoxin. It's kind of funny how it works, but it's actually a lot of relief. People that have like a lot of neck tension or have like, I have a buddy that did it around his eyes, because not in his eyes, but it was funny because his confidence went through the roof after doing it. So I'm not against it by no means. I just thought it was funny. Yes, for wrinkles. But I heard the wrinkles don't go away. They come back. That's what I heard. Anything you want to add to that, Cameron, around that? Any of those topics while we have you on?
What, Botox? No, I'm just kidding. No, I think that's all good stuff. I'm actually learning myself about Instagram. That's like my last explored thing, but I do think just everything. I mean, you're spot on. I think the more things we can identify that are, I think of hashtags as niches, right? Things that buckets that you can have. So I think what you said is great. And the more things that we can identify, the more interest that we have. Like maybe you're a race car wife, like maybe your husband races cars around dirt tracks, you know what I mean? And like, you've never identified that to you as a niche, but it is a niche because that's part of your world. So I think when we start to like look at that, it can help us in a lot of areas of our business because it's people we can relate to. It can help us hone in on our ideal avatar. It can help. I know who I don't want to work with, like the type of people. I really do. Like when I think about like gym people and like hardcore, like stickler people, that's not my people because I'm not like that. It's not related to me. Oh, what just happened?
I know you don't like to work with anybody named Amanda. I know that for a fact.
We're literally on Zoom working. Amanda, you're unmuted.
I know, I could tell. That's why you guys are reverbing when she came on.
But that's all. I just think that's going to help us in our whole business, whether it's with hashtags or avatars or whatever, finding our people.
Can I interview you? I want to talk about what we talked about. I'm just curious. We'll take a second and prep the interview right now because we're on for a second. True story. Did I tell you to start posting more about your makeup and your face stuff and all that stuff? How long did you not do that for? Or not commit for it?
So long because I see people do this a lot. It's like, think, oh, well, that does. I'm like, my thought when Dustin would tell me that is, well, if I'm going to do that, I might as well sell makeup, or people are going to think I sell makeup. That's literally what I thought. They're going to think that I sell hair or makeup tools if so, but the truth is no, because a lot of women either do it or are interested in it or want to watch it because they want to kind of learn it, or a lot of women could care less about it, and that's cool too. But the truth was that was something that I could relate to women with, give value in, and then through that they see that we do ketones. But yeah, Dustin told me that forever, and I'm like, I just didn't listen. I just didn't do it. And then actually it was when we started doing TikTok and Samantha Rose started training us and talking about niches and stuff. And I go, I don't know, I don't have niches. All I do is like ketones and family life. Like that's my thing. I love to work. What do I like to do? I like to work. I like to be in my office. And so she's like, are you crazy? You do all this stuff with like your hair. You need to do videos on that. And so it was like, you know how it is. It's like somebody can say something to you forever and then somebody else comes in and says it and you're like, okay. So that's really how it happened. Sorry, Dustin.
Well, and the reason why I say this is like, funny thing is I could see it in Cameron easier than myself.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. I could see like, my God, you're not crushing it because you're not talking about what you're great at. And Cameron, let me ask this question. If somebody asks you about makeup or hair, how easy is it to have a conversation with them?
Yep. Way easier than about the ketogenic diet. That's for dang sure.
Yes. It's like if she met them on the side of the road, they could just sit down and have a conversation rather than she's trying to sell them something. And then it's the practice of how do you bring up the conversation when that timing's right. But who would rather have 1,000 new followers, let's say 500 new followers every single month, watching you do something that you actually are good at naturally and you flow with? And then you can then eventually move them towards that. So before we get off here, this is a challenge for everybody. I want you in the chat, I want you to put down one thing that you're freaking awesome at, that you could teach anybody, or it's your gift zone. Like I see, where'd she go? Oh, there, Christine Tolford. Like she knows fitness. She could teach people how to do an exercise every day, exercise of the day. And the thing is she could shoot 20 of them in one day, if that makes sense. She could shoot 20 of them. So I got so much energy right now. And I got a dead stop here a second. It's a true story. I get done from an event. I can't make this up. I get done from an event. I'm in Las Vegas. We have a check for $50,000 that I'm walking through the airport on purpose. Well, I got the check, but I took it on the airplane, walking through the airport. We signed up 2 people on the way through the airport in Las Vegas with our check. How did you get that check? Well, I actually earned it in the company that I work with. You should check it out. True story. I get to my gate, and the gate next to us, this lady goes, she saw my shirt. She goes, ketones. She goes, should I drink those things? I'm following this lady on Instagram. And I'm like, who? Pull it up. It is a lady with absolutely zero background in fitness. This woman doesn't know a thing, her left foot from her right when it comes to fitness. Not a thing. She's on a weight loss journey. She's lost like 25, 30 pounds. I don't know who she was, to be honest. She's a promoter in Prove It somewhere. She has about 70 more pounds to lose. And every day she gives a tip about what she's doing in her journey. I learned this exercise. I wanted to show it to you. My tip that I learned from YouTube today was this. All she did is shared the lady goes, I love to follow her workouts. The woman is not a trainer. She doesn't even know how to work out. Like, she literally is watching a YouTube video, filming herself doing it, puts it up on Instagram. And the lady that is relating to her, and just so you know, the lady I'm talking to is not my demographic. She's not my audience. She doesn't want to watch my crap. She wants to watch the lady that's trying to lose 70 more pounds or 50 more pounds do an exercise, and she follows her routines, her exercise routine. She does her exercise of the day. So I say this is because she found her niche. She likes to do the exercises. Does that make sense? She likes it. She can talk about what she's currently doing. So if you're in a transformation, you can do the same thing. And my point to saying that is, you don't have to be an expert. You have to be committed. But if you have a skill set in the chat, what's one thing that you're super sign language? Tammy. Yeah, we talked about this with Tammy. She's really good at sign language, and that's a very specific niche, which she can do really well. Science and nursing. D, I'm not sure, Dawn. Science and nursing. My favorite Instagram page is a nursing page. And I'm pretty sure it's a dude that's doing it, but you think it's a woman. I'm pretty sure it's some random dude that's doing it. Almost for sure. But it's just funny nursing memes. That's all it is. It's funny nursing memes. You could tie a funny nursing meme, and there's a million out there, with some real hardcore information that you like, crush it. Anyway, crush it. I'm getting fired up. So that's part of finding your niche, but that's also knowing who your audience is. Who's your audience? I told this last week, it's on Cameron's team. I think it's Veronica. She's a teacher, and she's trying to target MMA fighters. I go, I'm not sure how. I mean, that's good. You want to commit to MMA fighters, but she's never fought in the MMA, and she only knows like 4 people in the space. I go, why don't we focus on teachers, and then moms, and then nurses, and then hairstylists, because they all have a similar concept to them. What's the message we can tell them? Because that's the same message that you probably can deliver to them. So with that said and done, let me know about Hacking Better. Oh, what's up? What's up, Lynn?
Hey, if you don't mind, I just want to tie a little bow on something, because I'm hearing what you're saying. One thing that I did when I was in Cancun was I was intentional about going to people and saying, tell me who you think I am.
Ooh, that's good.
Tell me what you see in me, because we don't see in ourselves what other people see in us, or necessarily, like, we might be great at something, like you said, Dustin, and we want that to be our niche. And Veronica is a great example of that. But if you're confused, or if you're just thinking like, maybe I'm not on the right track, or maybe I am, I went to people and said, tell me who you think I am. And it was mind blowing to me, because what people saw in me is what I know is inside of me, but I keep it, what I thought, hidden, and it's not. So have conversations with people and ask them questions. They will give you what you asked for.
And your best friends and your family members can be the best at that. And it could be, they say you just have the biggest heart in the world, right? Like I meet Liz, and she just has this big heart. And maybe that's your niche. Maybe you ask them, what's something that I'm good at? Like, cause you might not know that you're good at changing diapers, but you're really good. I mean, I'm awesome at changing diapers. Like, been doing it for 7-8 years. I can nail that. I'm so good at it. Cloth diapers, fake diapers, backwards diapers, standing diapers. I got them all. Right. But I don't see myself that way. And that might be a little politically incorrect to do that online. But either way, my point is that your friends and families probably could be the best to actually tell you that. Ask 10 of them, ask 5 of them. Hey, what do you see me good at? What are my strengths? What do you think I could teach? And these are really cool things. Lynn, I got to ask you a question. Do you wear red every day?
Glasses.
Nails. Anyway, I had a thought. But, all right, y'all. I appreciate you. Hacking Better. Let's make this fun. We had a couple weeks, 3 weeks-ish. I'll be in Louisville, Kentucky. My goal is to bring another 50 people. So I'm very ambitiously desired to do that. Michael gets laser focused on something. My laser focus is on Hacking Better. I just know that when I sit in that seat, I'm going to be like, if I don't do everything I can to give everybody the opportunity to change their life, then that's my bad. And I'm very, very, very determined to make hacking better a good experience for so many people. And all you have to do is show up, find a way. I don't care. We have people driving 12 hours from Canada. We have people flying in all over the world. It's going to be a really cool event. So I appreciate you all. Thank you, everybody that shared. And we'll see you guys at Hacking Better, but see you all next week. Stay tuned on the Pulse for anything on the KLPs.